All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking on a rigorous, honestly pretty ruthless audit of one of the most incredibly ambitious theoretical megaprojects out there right now, unified dynamics. Now, this framework has already generated hundreds of theorems, a massive mathematical architecture, and let's face it, a whole lot of bold claims. But today we're cutting right through the noise. We are going to look strictly at the ledger. What is this program actually proven, and what is still, well, just a mathematical ghost? To really understand the stakes of this explainer, we have to start by asking the foundational question that unified dynamics poses. Can an entire universe be built mathematically without assuming space and time exist first? You see, most physics theories, like quantum mechanics or general relativity, they kind of cheat. They start with an arena, they assume a background, a space-time continuum, and then they just drop particles and fields inside it. But unified dynamics asks something way more radical. What if we start earlier? Before geometry, before fields, before any specific dimensions? Can we generate physical reality, gravity, matter, literally everything, just from the pure logic of counting and geometry? Okay, here's our structured ledger for today. 1. The unified dynamics ambition. 2. The locked successes. 3. The number 7 phenomenon. 4. The real remaining gaps. And 5. Geometry versus physical reality. We're promising a ruthlessly honest gap analysis here, so let's get right into it. Section 1, the unified dynamics ambition. So what is the actual ambition here? The goal is absolutely staggering, to create matter and the fundamental forces from pure pre-geometric math. And it all begins with this, the K4 packet. In unified dynamics, reality doesn't start with particles, it starts with this, a minimal discrete tetrahedron. Think of it kind of like a tinker toy, the absolute simplest 3D shape you can possibly make. 4 triangular faces, 4 vertices, and 6 edges. It's the fundamental seed of the entire theory. Every single physical structure, from a tiny electron to a massive galaxy cluster, is supposed to be built simply by routing information through these tetrahedral packets. Now, how do you actually get from nothing to a K4 packet? Well, the theory traces this incredible cosmic genesis journey from a structured zero. Step 1 is distinction, just separating this from that. From distinction, relation natively follows. And from relation, you finally get closure, the ability for a system to loop back on itself and form a stable geometric object. That is the fundamental grammar of this universe. You don't just plug in a physical particle, you require that information closes a loop. Section 2, the locked successes. As an objective auditor, I have to ask, what did this beautifully elegant math actually earn? What's really interesting here is that these aren't just guesses. These are mathematically exact successes that are genuinely funded in the ledger. The K4 primitive? That's a locked geometric structure. The 7/192 normalization ratio, an exact rational derivation. No free parameters, no tuning. What about the branched ladder operators, yielding fractions like 43/7 and 101/6, which act as bare structural spines for particle masses? Fully derived. And the receipt grammar, the internal logic of how these packets transport data, completely locked. So the math absolutely earns its keep. The internal logic is flawless. The finite registers, the rules of the network, the exact way these tetrahedra share boundaries without breaking, it's perfectly closed. If you view this strictly as a program of discrete geometry, it is a massive, mathematically sound achievement, no doubt about it. Section 3, the number 7 phenomenon. Okay, let's pivot for a second to something that has seriously captured the imagination of mathematicians and science fiction fans alike. Look at this exact fraction, 7/192. In unified dynamics, this isn't just some random decimal. This is the heartbeat of the framework. The 7 is the overlap deficit, or delta. The 192 is the state space dimension, or n. This fraction represents the geometrical survival trace of the universe. It is the exact fraction of tetrahedral structure that actually survives the network's logical gates to become visible physics. It's actually fascinating how deeply this specific number resonates with human imagination. Just take Christopher Paolini's sci-fi epic To Sleep in a Sea of Stars from the Fractal Verse. The number 7 is literally everywhere. 777,777 newts transported. The staff of blue broken into exactly 7 shards, 7 survivors on a ship. The unified field theory codified in the year 2107. Fans have tracked these repeating 7s all across the lore, knowing it signifies some underlying, fundamental pattern in that universe. But here's the kicker. In unified dynamics, this isn't just fiction. As the source texts note, The delta of 7 is a rigorously derived combinatorial constant. It actually emerges from minimal tetrahedral primitives by two completely independent mathematical paths. It's an invariant. The number 7 universally captivates us in our stories, and astonishingly, it emerges organically as the structural backbone of this real-world geometric theory. Section 4. The real remaining gaps. We've praised the math, we've admired the geometry, but now it's time to drop the hammer of ruthless honesty and look at the missing pieces. We have this stark contrast. On the left side, incredible mathematical elegance, the exact K4 structural geometry, the combinatorics, the locked ratios. But on the right side, we hit a massive wall, empirical reality. Right now, the empirical bite of unified dynamics is essentially zero. The continuum, the smooth fabric of space and time we actually experience and measure, is totally missing. The math is locked, for sure, but the physics, currently, it's just ghosts. And here is the actual brutal ledger of those missing pieces: homology induction, receipt leakage in the network, the end-seat generalization that hasn't been proven yet, the absolute lack of physical bridges connecting this discrete math to actual, continuous observable physics. Oh, and a missing global consistency proof. These are heavy hitters. You simply cannot claim you've solved gravity if you don't have the bridge proving how these discrete packets smoothly scale up into Einstein's continuous metric tensor. You just can't. To put it simply, it's like a bridge built halfway. The internal documents of the project say it themselves. We do not leave a bridge half-built, but right now, the materials, the discrete math, the coarse graining cells, the 18 local transport directions, they're all just sitting on one side of the river. The other side, the smooth continuum of general relativity, well, it remains completely unearned and out of reach. Section 5. Geometry versus physical reality. So what exactly does unified dynamics currently represent? Is it physics or is it math? I absolutely love this quote from the internal governance logs of the theory itself. We do not draw boundaries around mathematical ghosts. I think this perfectly shows their own rigorous awareness of the danger of epistemic overreach. They know that avoiding inherited smoothness doesn't automatically produce emergent smoothness. They refuse to fake the physical bridge just to claim a cheap victory. And that leads us to the absolute biggest takeaway you should leave with today. Unified dynamics is a highly disciplined, well-governed, mathematically gorgeous, discrete geometry program. The 7/192 ratio, the tetrahedral packets, those structural spines, they are real, spectacular mathematical achievements. But it is not a completed physical theory. The bridge to our empirical reality is currently closed. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. Unified dynamics has shown us an astonishingly elegant way to build a logical universe out of tetrahedral primitives and the number 7. But if that physical bridge to our observable reality is never completely built, if it remains just a halfway bridge, is the pure beauty and discipline of that geometry enough to justify the endeavor? It's a fascinating question, and one that the ongoing development of this framework will ultimately have to answer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.